All right, welcome back. We're diving right back into the Korean War to continue the incredible story of Byun and the battle for Kaesong. Now, if you're just jumping in, what you need to know is that this isn't just one battle. It's one chapter in a massive 19-part campaign. It's a story all about guts, communication, and really the true cost of war.
But before we jump into the strategy and the firefights, I want to start with something deeply personal. This is a memory from Byun himself. Think about this. He would talk about having to hide from the enemy, submerged in water for hours on end. Because of moments like that, he said that even decades later, just taking a full breath, it wasn't always easy. It's just a powerful reminder that the wounds of war aren't always visible.
So, yeah, this fight for Kaesong, it was a marathon, not a sprint. We're talking about a massive campaign made up of 19, that's right, 19 brutal missions. And they all had one objective: take back the city. Today, we're zooming in on Operation number 3.
Okay, take a look at this map. This really shows you the sheer scale of what they were trying to do. It lays out the whole theater of operations. You can see the departure points down here in the south, and then all these different landing zones. Banghogami, Dandupo, you name it. All 19 missions are marked on here, but the one we care about today, it's this one right here. The landing at Haechungpo. That's our third operation.
So who's telling this story? You might think it's a general, right? Some high-ranking commander? But no. Our perspective comes from a guerrilla fighter who had one of the most important jobs out there. He was the man on the radio.
Yeah, his name was Byun. He was part of this group called Unit 5816, which was a guerrilla unit that later got absorbed into the KLO, the Korea Liaison Office. And get this, he had no formal military rank, none. But we've seen the official unit charts from 1951, and they confirm it. His job was absolutely critical. He was in the signal unit. He was their communications guy.
Okay, let's get into the mission. We're talking about the night of March 27th, 1951. This is when the third major operation kicks off. And the target? The Kaepung area.
Now this was no small raid. We're talking about a full battalion-level operation, and they had two huge goals that honestly sound kind of contradictory. First, rescue a massive number of civilians who were trapped, and second, completely wipe out the enemy forces there. Yeah, no pressure, right?
So here's the game plan, the nuts and bolts. The unit was led by Battalion Commander Hyun-ji Choi. They set off from a place called Sanipo. Their objective was to land here, at Haechungpo, and from that beachhead, they were going to push inland and hit several targets, including Pyeongdak and Yuldong.
So the plan was locked in. But you know what they say about plans in a war, right? The moment they hit the beach at Haechungpo, all hell broke loose. The fight for their lives, and for thousands of civilians, started instantly. They ran smack into an entire company of North Korean troops, and these guys were dug in and ready. The resistance was way fiercer than anyone expected. Suddenly, the night just explodes with gunfire and smoke. It was chaos from the very first minute.
And right in the middle of all that chaos, this is where Byun becomes the linchpin. He's the communications hub for the whole operation. He later said he was the one and only link, juggling everything on the radio in real time, calling out positions, reporting on the battle, screaming for more ammo, and coordinating medical evacuations. He was their lifeline.
It was an absolutely brutal fight. But in the end, on paper, the operation was a success, a tactical victory. But as Byun's story shows us, that victory came with a very, very heavy price tag.
Let's start with the good news. The absolute best part of this. They managed to rescue over 15,000 civilians. I mean, just think about that number. And for Byun, this was personal. A lot of those people were from Pyeongdak, which was basically his own backyard.
And from a purely military perspective, the results were pretty stunning. They didn't just defeat an enemy company, they annihilated it. They captured nearly a dozen soldiers, a couple of agents, and grabbed a whole bunch of rifles and submachine guns. And maybe just as crucial, they captured 80 sacks of rice, vital supplies. But that victory wasn't clean. They lost 7 of their own men in the fighting. 7 comrades, including a guy named Bong Hwa Kwan, didn't make it back.
And on top of those who were killed, another 9 soldiers were wounded. You know, we see these numbers, 7, 9, and they can feel abstract. But every single one of those was a person, a life that was either cut short or changed forever by that night.
Bayoun talked about this one memory that really stuck with him after the battle, seeing a soldier just quietly holding the things that belonged to his friend who had just died. It's what led him to this thought right here, which is just such a simple, powerful, and heartbreaking truth about war. The death of comrades never becomes easy to accept.
So when you look past all the numbers, the rescued civilians, the captured weapons, the lives lost, what's left? What does this single signal, this one night, really mean in the grand scheme of things? I think this last quote from Beyond just sums it all up perfectly. He said, "The path we walked was not a front line, but a path of people." And that just completely reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? This mission wasn't just about lines on a map or military objectives. It was about people. It was about saving lives and bringing a community back together. The signals Beyond sent over that radio, they weren't just about tactics. They were about hope.
So Operation Number 3 was a victory, but the fight for Kaesong was far from over. I mean, there were still 16 operations to go. That makes you wonder, right? What other paths did they have to walk through in the darkness? We're going to find out. We'll keep exploring this incredible story in our next explainer. Be sure to join us for that.